Well, let's look at the exam day itself and some tips for how to deal with the actual exam now. Number one, pay attention to the direction of the question. And by direction, I mean the wording. Whether it's using most likely, most accurate, or least likely or least accurate. One is worded positively in a positive direction. The other is worded negatively. For most likely, you're looking for a true statement. Least likely, you're looking for a false statement. And here's the thing, when you're looking for the false statement, you'll see two other true statements. And as you're reading the true statements, you go, yeah, that's true. And you may be tempted to circle that one saying, yeah, that's it. That's right there. It's true. Pay attention. Most likely or least likely. I'm sure that when you were doing practice questions and you made a mistake and you saw what you did wrong, how many times did you go, oh, least likely. I said most likely. Or I answered most likely. Here's the thing about the questions in the exam. They are not attempting to trick you. Don't try to read anything into the question. Don't say, oh, I think that's a double negative. They actually mean this and that, and they're trying to see if I'm paying attention. They're not trying to trick you at all. The questions are driven directly from the learning objective statements, and they're testing whether or not you know the knowledge, not whether you can solve a word riddle, not whether you can figure out if it means this or it means that. It's exactly as it's being asked, period. Number two, there are two ways to answer a question. Don't forget this. Go to the right answer. You're reading it, you see the answer, you go, well, that's the right answer right there. Off you go. Or eliminate wrong answers. As you read the question, you think, oh, I'm not really sure about this. See if there's some obvious ones you can eliminate right away. Especially ones that have look like it would take you 3, 4, 5 minutes of calculator work to solve. You may not have to calculate if you look at the question and say, well, I know what's going to happen here. I'm looking for a positive answer, and you might have 3 options and 2 of them are negative. Right away you could say, look, I don't have to calculate anything. The 2 negatives have to go. So see if you can eliminate wrong answers right away. And remember, there is only one right answer. So there's no point in reading A, B, and C. If you read A and you say, that's the answer right there, I know it is, there's no point in reading B and C. You're already done. You may as well just take A and move on. Those seconds are valuable at the end. Long questions, read the question stem first. The question stem is the last sentence which asks the question. Which of the following is most likely, or which of the following is a result of whatever the case is. Whatever the question is, read it first, then start reading the long narrative, and the answer will jump out at you. But to read it first, all of those words, then get to the end, and then have to go back and go, okay, well, let me see what the answer is. You're wasting time. If it's long, go right to the last sentence, read that, say, okay, I know what I'm looking for, and up you go. Number 4. Guessing. What do we do about this? Well, if you have to, you're probably going to come across some questions where you read it and go, you know what, I just don't know. So see if you can eliminate something. If you can't, you got a 33% chance. You may as well guess. Don't leave anything blank. There is no benefit to leaving it blank. There's no penalty for guessing. And don't chase the answer around. Don't try to say, well, I think maybe this time it's B, and then if you're going to guess next time it's A. If you want to get the best result out of guessing, you guess the same answer to all the questions you have to guess at. Then you're going to get, on average, at least 33% of them right. If you can eliminate at least one option, you might get 50% of them right. So you'll answer all B, for example. Unless you can eliminate B, then choose C or A. Doesn't matter, but as long as you're consistent, because then at least you have probability on your side. Remember, each question is only worth 1 point. It's not worth banging your head against the desk for 3, 4, 5 minutes trying to figure out an answer to a question. Move on. They're all worth 1 point. The easy questions are worth a point. The hard questions are worth a point. So if you come across a hard question that you think, well, I can solve this, but it's going to take me more than a minute and a half. It's going to take me some significant time. Come back to it. Come back to it at the end. Get the easy stuff out of the way. So they're all worth just 1 point. The non-quantitative questions, the conceptual questions, oftentimes you can eliminate extreme wording. By extreme wording, words like always and never. So if there's 3 selections and so-and-so must always do this or must never do that, typically extreme wording is wrong. So you can eliminate those. Again, words like never and always. Number 7, CFA exam questions are based on CFA texts. So if you, in your studying, if you said, but these notes say one thing, but the book says another, rely on the book. They're based on CFA text, not prep providers material. And I just got an email the other day. I should share it with you. On this exam, for equity settlement. Equity settlement now is T+2. You do not have to worry about that. If there's any questions on settlement for equities, it is T+3. It is T+3. If there's any questions, just answer the way it was written in the book. If it hadn't been changed in the book, then that's what it's going to be, T+3. Answer T+3. If there's anything like talking about the chronology of dividends, where the ex-dividend date is, that's T-2, not T-1 now. So forget about T+2. Even though that's the way the world is right now, everything you had was T+3. Just stay with T+3. All right. Friday, the day before the exam. For some of you watching this now, it is your Friday morning. The day before the exam, rewatch ethics. You want to try to put as much of that into short-term memory as possible. You're going to have 36 questions in this exam, 15%. 36 questions are going to be on ethics. So if rewatching it gets you 5 or 6 more points, great. It's not intuitive, so it's nothing that you can internalize and say, okay, well, there are rules I can follow. If this, it's that. If this, it's that. It's not intuitive, and every scenario could be slightly different, where you think, well, what if it were like this then? And what if it were like that? And you can go on and on and on with all the what ifs. So it's not intuitive. So you want to try to put it into your short-term memory as close to the exam as possible. So the entire Code and Standards, I think, is about 4.5 hours. If you watch it at 1.5 speed, you can get through it in 3 hours. So take a Friday afternoon and listen very actively, listen very closely. It's only 3 hours. I think you can probably squeeze out another 5, 6, 7 points out of those 36 questions just by getting some extra clarification, and it's right there in short-term memory. In the exam, there is a certain way to behave. And you're going to want to follow these pointers very closely. Number 1, do not look around. Keep your head down. Stare straight at your desk. If you need to stretch your neck, close your eyes and twist your head upwards. But don't just stare off at somebody else writing or try to see, oh, I wonder, how far ahead are they? Are they on the same page I am? Are they working ahead? Maybe you're not looking at their answers. You just want to gauge how you're doing compared to someone else. Don't do it. Those proctors are everywhere. Don't do it. And you know what? When you're looking around, they're not going to say anything to you. Not at all. You'll keep going thinking, well, everything is fine, till you hand in your exam and the person hands you a sheet saying that you've been written up for a violation. Your exam will be pulled, and that's it. That's it. Don't look around. Just keep your head down. Number 2, listen to the proctors. Whatever they say. They are gods, or at least they think they are while they're in there. Listen to the proctors. Number 3, when they say stop, no kidding around, man. Stop. You drop your pencil, just open your hand and let it fall. Even if you think, oh, yeah, I can just get this one last bubble in. That's it, and I'll be done. So you hear the word stop and your pencil's going to put in that bubble, let it go. Let it go. Because if they see you doing that, then all of the work you did and all of the writing you did in that exam is gone. It's gone. Let it go. It's one bubble. Let it go. As soon as you hear the word stop, open your hands. Whatever's in your hands drops. That's it. Fold your hands behind your head. Make it really obvious that you are nowhere near your pencil. Don't give them a reason at all. Make it very clear that you are done. I'm not kidding you on this. Make it very clear that you are done. Every exam, there's always a handful that think they can squeeze in an extra bubble, and the proctors they got eyeballs everywhere and they're looking. And when they write you up, guess what? You have to prove your innocence. That's very hard to do. That's very, very, very hard to do. Typically what happens in a situation like that is CFA sends you a letter saying this is what happened. Here's what we can do if you're willing to just say that, okay, yeah, I did that. No action will be taken against you. Your exam will be destroyed and you can sit for the next one. Or you can appeal it. However, they make no promise on how long the appeal process will last, and you cannot register for another exam until the appeal process is over. So you might actually miss writing the next exam You see how tricky that is? Don't take the chance. It's one bubble. Let it go. All right, let's not forget these things. Number one, passport. I have heard at least once a year of somebody arriving there and, oh, I forgot my passport. Well, that's it. You're not getting in. So if it's an hour back home and then an hour back to the center, well, it's over, right? They're not going to give you any extra time. Don't forget your passport and your exam ticket. Put those together right now. Put them in a little bag and put it around the handle of the front door so that you have it right there. Don't forget it. Or in your bathroom mirror, write it down on a piece of paper and tape it to the bathroom mirror right now. Don't forget your passport, idiot. Say the word idiot on there. You're talking to yourself. It's okay. Number two, calculator. Make sure you have an approved model. Don't forget your calculator. You do? Some of these quant questions, well, most of them won't be able to be solved without a calculator. Approved model, maybe even a backup. That's permissible. Number three, bring a watch. Again, this goes to don't look around. You start looking up, looking around for a clock. Well, you're giving somebody a reason. You're giving a proctor a reason to say, I think I saw something going on there. Have a watch, something simple, a watch with hands. Don't try to get in there with your new Apple Watch. It's not going to happen. Keep it simple, nice and just a mechanical watch that you can look at where you have time sitting right in front of you so you're aware of what the time is. Number four, your pencils. A number two or an HB. Now the reason why is because it's got a particular shade of lead, and the Scantrons, which read all of those bubble sheets, the Scantrons have trouble if it's anything other than a particular shade. So the number two and the HB have a certain type of, I don't know what it is, a lead or something content. There's another content in there, lead and ash, I'm not sure. But it has a certain density, a certain color that the Scantrons pick up. So if you wonder why everyone's fanatical about these types of pencils, it's not because test centers hold stock in companies that make these pencils. I think that would be really cool if they did, right? It's just because of the type of color that it uses, the shading that it uses. And that's it. That should serve you well inside there. And I'll see you on the other side.